So, F125, as we enter mid-May in towards Easter Sunday when this video is recorded, but it'll probably be uploaded the Tuesday. So, after Bank Holiday Monday, F125 has been announced. We've gotten not one, but two deep dives talking about the game, talking about certain things, talking about the changes that they've made. And we've got blogs, and we've got gameplay. We've got, the community talking about the game. And we've pretty much got everything as far as what this game is going to offer. So I think this video is now, I'd say, complete. This is probably the perfect time to make this video as far as my overall thoughts on F125, as we are just over, I'd say, a month before the game launches, and I don't think it's good enough. I don't think the changes that EA and Codemasters have made for this year's game compared to 24 and 23, I don't think it's good enough. And I'm not going to lie, I thought we were going to have more urgency or desperation. Now, I'm not making this video to rant for clicks and views and engagement. I could easily do that. I could easily say that F125, oh my god, it's the worst F1 game ever. No, I'm not going to do that. The whole aim of this video is to at least make sure that 26, in one way or another, is the game that we deserve. Because as of right here, right now, I don't know what, nothing's been said about the contract situation, but this is the final year of the EA slash Codemasters deal with FOM, Formula 1 Management, as far as their rights to make the Formula 1 game. For all we know, F125 might be the last F1 game made by Codemasters slash EA. I mean, unless EA maybe throws a bag at FOM and they accept it because they want money, and money makes the world go round, or in Lewis Hamilton's words, cash is king. But I think it's the perfect time to make this video talking about the truth of F125 now that we know about the features and what it's offering, and I don't believe that F125 is good enough. Now, I don't want to be all controversial for the sake of being controversial. I want to simply just be critical in the hopes that at least the F126, if there is an F126, that game is significantly better, because every single game under the EA umbrella since 22 has been, I'd say, average or good at best. I think 23 was the best game of the series, but the fact that 22 and 24 in different ways has not been good and has not been received well is concerning. And now that we're entering F125, it's, I would say, a make or break year for EA in every way possible. And I thought that they would have had more desperation and they would have had more urgency with making this game, but clearly not. So in this video, it's only going to be me talking, and I might pop some footage from the trailers and the deep dives so that you don't have to look at me all video. But I've made some points from the two deep dives, just talking about the things that I don't either like or have caught my eye, or just what they've done with F125. And I'm not trying to bury this game, and who knows, when the game comes out, the handling might be generational, the gameplay, the AI might be generational. From a gameplay perspective, we might have a game that's actually better than F123, but this is just what I'm feeling for now, and the feeling is that F125 for right now is not good enough, and here's why. For the amount of changes that we all thought we were going to get with this game, they've only really, I'd say, executed maybe two of those changes. One of them being current generation exclusive and the other one being my team, but I think that's only about it. So I'm going to talk about all the things that they haven't done, or the things that I am not satisfied with. And if you, the viewer, if you are disappointed in any way, shape or form with this game, please leave what you're annoyed with down below, because I want this video to reach every single person at EA and Codemasters, with the sole intention of making 26, well, if there is even going to be an F1 26 game, the greatest F1 game of all time, because that is what this video is intended to be. That's why I played these videos. Well, that's why I played the games for. I've been playing the game since 2010, and the fact that there are things in previous games that they've either took out or completely changed is kind of annoying. So let's get started with the biggest mode of F1 25, the one that they focused the most on, My Team. They've changed the complete complex, or the complete mode of My Team, where in F1 2020 you were a driver owner. Now you're a team owner and team principal only, and instead of driving your team's car, you can now select 2 drivers to select to drive the car. And I get it. The driver owner thing has not been a thing in Formula 1 since at least the 70s or 60s even, and it's not realistic. But the fact that we can drive in our saves with Michael Schumacher and Ayrton Senna as driving for AI teams, that's not realistic. And I think we're now just entering an era where career modes in general are not realistic at all. So I don't think there's a reason why you should be going down that realistic route, as far as trying to be as realistic as you can. At least, if you were gonna give us a change, at least give us that setting. At least keep that setting of driver owner, but then add that system on, as far as when we're doing My Team, we can either be the owner driver or a team owner. Give us that option at least. And I think a lot of fans of the game, and even the bigger names of the community, Tim and Marduk, Arava, who play My Team, Tom 97, maybe, they were even questioning, I don't really like this. And yeah, I think a lot of the reaction says that it's kind of mixed. I don't like the fact that, again, I might be proven wrong. I don't like the fact how they've now ditched the driver owner for now a team owner because of realism. At least keep it in the game. At least keep it in the game, so that if you wanted to do a team owner, then the option is still there. As far as the whole decals and sponsors, limited driver suits and helmet sponsor customization. Now, again, we could be wrong, but they haven't said anything on driver customization as far as the helmet decals or the driver livery or driver suit decals. They've only made mention as far as the team livery, the sponsor decals, where you can rotate, resize, reform, and just place them near enough anywhere on the car. But I thought they would add it on to the helmets and also the driver suits as well. Clearly they haven't went that way. Unfortunately, so that the driver suits and the helmets are going to be bland, which is still annoying, and you've got to call it out. Like, I don't understand why, you can only do it for the driver, for the car liveries, but not in the driver suits or the helmets, and the helmets are going to stick out again like a sore thumb, and I don't know why. Again, to point out on the car liveries, no tire or engine logos on the liveries or the suits. So how on the top of the chassis you would have the Pirelli logo, or like literally on the bridge of the nose you would have the Pirelli logo, and then your engine below that. Every car has that. except for your My Team. So maybe it's a thing that can be patched, maybe with a new save or a new season or something. But I just want to make the My Team, sponsor more. I want to make it more blend in. As long as we can make it, blend in a little bit more, then that's what matters to me. But since they haven't done it, again, it's just going to stick out like a sore thumb, and I know it's going to annoy me at least, and it's going to annoy a lot of people. I'm a little bit disappointed that there's no car customization in F1 25, considering that EAWRC literally did this a year and a half ago, and I think that was received very well indeed. But yeah, the fact that we still can't do car customization in F1 25, are they really going to be saving that for F1 26? I don't really know, but I think it's just a little bit lazy and uninspiring, to be honest. Again, still no full driver customization, considering that in other EA games, UFC, EA FC, NHL, Madden, they have full player customization, full fighter customization. In the F1 game, we don't have any of that, and I still don't understand why. So I'm just going to attribute this to just pure laziness and the fact that they don't really care as much for the series, which is a shame, to be fair. Another thing that's a shame is the driver roster that they released for F1 25. They've took out F1 icons such as I think James Hunt is gone, Juan Pablo Montoya, I think he's also gone, and Nigel Mansell, he's also gone as well. And it's just one of those things, like why are we getting rid of certain F1 icons? I don't understand that. I think the F1 icons is a brilliant addition, but Nigel Mansell was added last year and he's gone this year. I again, why is he gone? Like, it's just, again, they just do things, and I don't understand why they've taken them out. Like, it's like they don't want us to have more content in this year's game. Like, in F1 24, they removed France. Like, why did you remove France? It's an extra track, even though, some people don't like it. It's an extra option, extra variable for, My Team saves, or career mode saves, or co-op saves, or just in Grand Prix in general. You know what I mean? It's another track. But with EA, they just take content out, they just take drivers out, just for the sake of it, and it doesn't matter what we think, they just do it anyway. So, yep. Still no press conferences. Again, a thing that you had. It was a thing that you had in F1 2010, and it's not been in the game ever since, and I simply don't understand why. Probably sheer laziness, and the fact that EA Sports, to me, they don't care about the small details about the sport of Formula 1. But yeah, I don't understand why press conferences are not in the game. Even the media stuff, they might be in the game because they mention it in the blogs with the NVIDIA to Face feature, but most likely it's not going to be. So I want all these features in F1 26, but the fact they're not even in F1 25 is just sad at this point. We all need the LiDAR scan tracks. Now, they mentioned that in F1 25, they mentioned how they've done the 6 tracks that's LiDAR scanned, and including the ones in last year's game, the total LiDAR scanned tracks is 9. But let's face it, if you are the official F1 game that is provided all these tracks, shouldn't it be the bare minimum to do at least 18 or 17 tracks out of 24? And I understand that when it comes to this type of technology, it's very time consuming, and it's taking a lot of resources. But if you are the official product of the Formula 1 games, and you've been so for the last decade and a half, shouldn't this be the bare minimum that you should be doing as far as updating the tracks every single year, and it's only 6, when we should have realistically 10 or 12 or even all of them. It's kind of just, again, it just reeks of laziness from EA. And again, I might be wrong. It might be a more difficult process to do with all the information that they've got to receive and then transport into the game. But you know, we need all of the tracks laser scanned, not 2 or 3 or 6. At bare minimum, 17 or 18 out of 24 tracks. Simply not good enough. Alternate track layouts. You know, let's talk about the reverse track layouts. I remember when Codemasters released, I think it was Grid Autosport for the 360, one of the final Codemasters games for the 360. They had reverse tracks for Spa, and I remember, because doing reverse Spa was one of the things I remember most about Grid Autosport. But let's face it, did anyone actually want reverse tracks in the game? Was this at the top of your list as far as after Breaking Point and My Team, and was really the whole idea of how can we bring new tracks into the game? Oh, let's just bring reverse tracks of 3, not even 6 or the whole season, 3. And those being Zandvoort, Silverstone, and Austria. Who asked for this? And I'm not trying to sound ungrateful. I'm not trying to sound unbiased. I'm not trying to sound bratty as far as, oh, is this it? We want all of them. No, I'm not trying to say that. I understand. That again, these things require time as far as rebalancing everything, as far as recoding the AI for racing lines, redoing brake marker boards, the starting sequence, the grid, pit lanes, etc. And I'm appreciative, don't get me wrong, I'm appreciative that they're doing these things, but who asked for this? We asked for historical tracks again. We asked for the Nürburgring, or Turkey at least, or Mugello, or even, France again, at bare minimum. And again, I could be proven wrong. The reverse tracks could be an amazing feature to the point where every track on the game is reverse, and that way that's content. But I don't think that's content. That's just pure laziness. But again, I could be proven wrong. But this is just how I feel after seeing these two developer diaries. Path tracing. This is a feature for PC, but let's face it, unless you have a ridiculous up-to-date 2025 PC with I don't know, DDR5 or even DDR6, RAM or something, maybe 32 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes, or even a 5060, RTX 5060 or something, where you have at least a PC that costs over $2,000 or something at least. Is path tracing really worth it? If you're going to go down that direction of graphics or something, maybe just try and max out the engine that you're on. And I still don't understand why the decision was made to be on Ego instead of going to Unreal like EAWRC did. But yeah, if you're going to go down that graphics or gameplay route, why couldn't you have fixed the balance issues between frame rates and the physics? Because apparently on F1 24 and 23, 60 FPS is better than 120 FPS according to physics, as far as curb nature and as far as how the car reacts to certain things. Why can't you balance that out to the point where gameplay is the same on 120 FPS and the physics is the same on 120 FPS than it is on 60, instead of working on this path tracing that no one is going to use because they don't have a PC expensive enough or powerful enough to actually use that, when all they want is more FPS. and a smoother gameplay experience at a higher FPS. Like, if you would have balanced, the issues with 120 FPS and made the physics of the game and the gameplay at a higher frame rate better than spending your time and resources on path tracing, then I think that would have been a better solution. But this path tracing is simply not worth it. And it isn't, because no one has a PC that expensive, I think, to run path tracing at a high quality of 1440p 120f with ray tracing or path tracing. You know what I mean? So it's a worthless thing, honestly. No season customization. F1 Manager has it, so why can't the official F1 game has it? Why can't the official F1 game have it? It's 2025. I don't understand why we can't have it. Until Lee Mather or someone up in the realm of the Codemasters development team, unless they answer in an interview as to why we can't have full-on customization with our seasons, and not just 10, 16 or 24, but how many races we have, and the fact that we can't do Austria as the first race of the season, and maybe Monaco as the last race, that's kind of concerning. And again, it feels like EA just don't care, and they're just half-arsing it, and they don't really care about giving us what they want. And if you don't care, then give up the license to someone, to another development team that actually do care and actually are willing to put in the time. Because Frontier, they care. They gave us, in F1, in F1 Manager 24 a couple months ago, they gave us the biggest update in an F1 game series that we've ever seen, with the fact that you could control driver rosters and you could control and customize the season as far as what tracks are where, and yet we can't get this in EA or Codemasters. Again, laziness. Another thing that is, caught my attention is, reverse tracks. Again, what I mentioned too, it's only 3 and not really 6. And again, if it's a case of they tried to do as much as they can, but they could only do 3 before the game got announced, or with deadlines and certain stuff, if that's the case, then fair enough. But maybe we could have had more. Maybe we could have had Spa. Maybe again we could have had Monaco, or Abu Dhabi, or Zandvoort is a reverse track, or maybe even Texas or Miami or something. Or maybe you could have just done a survey, maybe last year, you could have gotten the fans to realistically vote on what tracks you want to see as far as maybe reverse or something, or just what is your favorite tracks to race on F120 or on F124, or maybe you would have had the data to know. But yeah, the fact that there's only 3 reverse circuits instead of maybe 6 or 9 or the whole, I don't want to say it's lazy because it takes time and effort, but yeah, that's another thing I've noticed. Lack of new podium celebrations. What has happened to the podium celebrations since F1 2020 when you brought out the podium pass? I remember the first season and the second season of the podium pass. We got all these unique celebrations with, especially with the Egyptian walk and all this other stuff. We haven't seen that. Even the griddy. We could even do the griddy in F1 22. So why did you take that out? It's like they give us new stuff, in F1 2020 and 21 and 22, and in more recent years like 24 and 23, they've just given us recycled and uninspiring podium celebrations. I'm sure we have at least over 100 different podium celebrations from 2020 to now, and they don't really give us all of them. I don't understand that. Like, give us all of the podium celebrations for F1 25, including the ones that you had in F1 2020. Again, it's just more customization and more imagination with what we can do, and that makes the gameplay experience a little bit more fun. F1 World, the whole F1 life sequence, just throw it in the bin. Throw it in the bin. I don't care. I don't think the F1 community, the F1 gaming community, cares about F1 World or F1 Life. Just give us historical classic cars. Just give us a historic mode, maybe like what MotoGP, what Firestone did with MotoGP. I think it was MotoGP 22 when they gave us the 2009 season, and it was like a documentary type style where they gave us a video archive footage of the 2009 season, and they gave us, I think it was, what, I don't know, it was like, scenarios, or we had to replay certain moments during that season. But maybe you could do that maybe for one season or something, or maybe two, or even do the Senna and Prost DLC that you did back in F1 2019, but just maybe it's narrated by David Croft or something, I don't know. But when I say this, no one cares about F1 World or F1 Life. No one has cared since its induction in 2022, and it's just another way that EA can, monetize this game. No 120 AI. Now we're entering the gameplay customization side, and this is the last 2 points I'm going to make of this video. 120 AI, I think, for the veterans of the game, I think 110 AI is now too easy, and especially the F1 esports players, I think we should now be thinking about adding 120 AI onto the game, just to make it a little bit more challenging for the F1 esports drivers, because I don't think the F1 esports drivers are using single player as really practice to really test this game at the absolute limit. And I think the only way they can do that is by adding 10 more difficulty layers, and maybe they can do that. Maybe the F1 esports build maybe has that, but again, I think with 120 AI, that just balances out the AI a little bit more as far as qualifying in the race, because they still are not balanced when it comes to qualifying and also in the race. They are overpowered in some tracks and overpowered in the race and overpowered in the qualifying. And I think with another 10 difficulty levels, the balancing of the AI can be better. So it's a shame that there's no 120 AI option in F1 25, but yeah, it would have been nice. And finally, to end this video, as far as why F1 25 is simply not good enough, no gameplay customization. Now, what I mean by this is we need more options as far as the race distance, as far as the fuel, as far as the tyre wear. I've said this many times, where we have, let's say a slider. So let's take tyre wear slider. Right now, the tyre wear slider is in the middle, and that is the default slider. If it's all the way to the right, so plus 100%, so it's at 100. If it's plus 100, so 200%, then the tyre wear would be like it was in 2013, where you would have to make 3 or 4 stops regardless of the tyres that you're on and regardless of your driving style or setup. However, if it was all the way to the left, then it would be like 2005, where the tyres would last the entire race and you wouldn't have to make one stop. You just go from lights to flag without having to worry about tyre wear. I think adding this diversity in the gameplay, as far as giving us more options as far as the tyre wear and the fuel as well, and even the race distance, even adding maybe another 100%, so to the point where we're having 200% races. So instead of doing 78 laps at Monaco, maybe we can do 156 laps at Monaco. That would be insane. A 156 lap race at Monaco. Again, it's just these little features that I think if you bring them in, the community would actually be like, actually, that's actually a good feature. And instead of giving us, F1 World and stuff that we don't want, with my team and stuff, if you bring in a more a more customization, element as far as the gameplay side, with the driver moves and just with my team and the gameplay side, we can really have an F1 experience that is really tailor-made and suited to us. And not just offline, but also online as well. Can you imagine if you actually have these sliders for fuel and tyre wear? Imagine league racing, the online side of things. The whole diversity would be insane, But I think the whole feeling of the F1 gaming community right now is that even though EA have made changes and have brought in things that, are appreciated, it's not exactly what we've wanted. And I think F1 25 is going to fall under the category of, they've made, slight minor changes and improvements, but overall, it's not what we would call game changing. And I think that's what the F1 series needs. I think it needs a game where it's game changing, where it's a whole new experience. And I thought F1 25 was going to be that, but clearly it's not. So, out of all of that, how many points have I made? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 points as why F1 25 is not good enough. And if you have any more features, suggestions, or frustrations with the game, then leave them down below. If you agree with me, then like the video and subscribe to the channel for more F1 25 news. Again, I'm not trying to rant or label this video as a hateful video. I believe we live in a world where we can critique a product simply because we want that product to be better, not to expose it for how bad it is. And hopefully this video can maybe set the foundations for F1 26 or F1 27 or whatever it is. But all I know is that the community and the feedback of the community is that it's simply not enough and we need more. And I'm still going to play it because I love Formula 1. I've been playing the F1 game since 2010, but they need to listen to us because we might be living in a world where there is no F1 game in 2026. Maybe FOM don't, renew the deal with Codemasters, and maybe F1 25 is the final game, and we go into a new regulation, a new controversial regulation, where there's no F1 game. So what are they going to do then? At the end of the day, who knows what, but maybe, hopefully, from a gameplay perspective, F1 25 is better than 24 and 23, and hopefully, from a gameplay experience, it's the best F1 game that we've had under the EA umbrella. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe for more F1 25 discussion, news, and gameplay videos, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. In a bit.